Welcome everyone to the Pantheon of M. I am Ray, and today we're looking at Disney's I-Man, starring future leading Hollywood man, or Hollywood leading man, Scott Bakula. Now, he's most fondly remembered for playing a person who hops from a character to character in the series Quantum Leap. He's more affectionately remembered for playing a captain in Star Trek Enterprise, and most recently, he's the team leader in NCIS New Orleans. But 34 years ago, he became I-Man, the film that kicked it all off for him. It's his origin story, if you will. This is Scott Bakula at the beginning, when it all began. So with that, let's talk to my partner Evie, and let's discuss his first ever feature film.
There we go.
Yeah,
Hey, how you doing?
good. How are you, Ray?
Good. So today we're looking at I-Man. It came from a Disney. Remember those Disney movies on Sunday nights or Sunday afternoons?
Yeah.
Back in the days. So before this, he did theater and he did some commercials, and that was it. But this is his first legitimate screen credit. Before he did Quantum Leap, before he did The Infiltrator, before he did any of those TV films, whatever. This was his first legitimate acting gig.
Awesome.
And, but does the kid look familiar to you?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I just can't face it. I just can't remember his name, but yeah, definitely does.
Well, when I saw this, I'm like, I know this child from somewhere, and then it clicked. Flight of the Navigator.
Oh, okay.
This came out the exact same year, but maybe there's about a 6-month difference between the movies. But this 86, this is when it came out. This was his year. This is I believe what's his name? Corey James, I think his name is. But yeah, this kid, this was his apex of he was everywhere. Like, he was the kid to go to. And before this, he did he was in a movie called Runaways with Tom Selleck and Gene Simmons. We don't remember that, with a gun that could chase you around.
Oh, yeah.
Bullet, sorry.
Okay.
So he was the teen or child Hollywood would go to between 84 to 86. He was the Hollywood it kid for films. Was this your first time seeing this movie, or
It was.
So you have no recollection of, no memories
No
of
recollection of it at all.
I remember this as a kid watching on the Sunday Disney afternoon special. So, and we're doing this. Reason why we're doing this is it's in response to, because we did Bloodshot not too long ago.
Right.
So this is kind of like it could be like a distant cousin to Bloodshot, if you think about it.
Okay.
Right. So it's in that vein. So we're just trying to go in the theme of the invincibility and being a person who is just invulnerable to almost anything.
Gotcha.
Cool. This is more. I don't know. Would you consider this more of a parody than it is a serious film or action film? How would you classify this?
Action, kind of like comedy. Because here's a dad, with his son, and life is okay, but then something happens, and then he becomes invincible guy,
Mm-hmm.
and now he has to save California pretty much,
Yeah.
So it's, so I didn't hate it. It was pretty good. I wouldn't see it again, but
yeah, no,
it was, yeah. And what did you think of it?
Well, like you were saying, because it's very 80s. So I think with coming from 2020 eyes, looking at it now, you're like, oh, this is I think the writing of the 80s. There's a significant difference between how people wrote shows back then from the 90s, 2000s. So no one in their right mind would say this or do this, right?
Yeah.
And then with I-Man, I mean, the father's very gullible.
Yeah.
He's very doughy-eyed, and then in his kid. We'll get into it in a second, but basically the kid stores is a stowaway on the adventure, and he's not even upset when they actually finally he's totally on just accepting of the kid is smarter. The kid is smarter than him in every regards. This is this is one of the most strangest concepts. But I mean, if you think about it, this is the time of Goonies, so kids being Monster Squad, Goonies. This is the era of when kids were considered were looked upon as they can be superstars leading a charge. They could be responsible. They could be heroes. So For us as kids, I mean, we looked at Goonies as like like a classic for us because we
Yeah,
could
for
relate
sure.
to it. So this was in that vein, that in that bubble of like looking at that genre, if you will.
Right.
Um, so overall, what was your thoughts of it?
It was a nice family film,
Hmm.
Um, some of it's kind of funny,
Hmm.
with all of them fighting in the mansion and stuff, but you can't take it seriously. It's just a good family film, I would say. I wouldn't, you know, it's I'd give it maybe, I don't know, maybe a 8 out of 10 for a family movie.
Yeah, I would give it a 7 out of 10. I think when I saw it initially, I think at the time I'd probably give it a much more higher rating because it's so, um, uh, because the special effects back then are like 80s effects, so they're not high, but there's not a really great big budget towards this, and and again, like we were mentioning before, I mean, you see certain bumbling flaws, but though the character was a bumbling, I won't say idiot, but a bumbling fool who
Yeah.
got, he this is just a guy who was caught up in his extraordinary circumstances,
Yeah.
so that's what it comes down to. But so let's get into like the actual story. So like, what does I Man mean? So what is I Man?
Um,
Or basically, what is the
Invincible Man.
yeah, or
I think
indestructible,
Invincible Man.
invincible or indestructible. I
Yeah.
forgot what I stood for the longest time until I saw this, but then they kept saying the word over and over and over again until like
Yeah. So
yeah.
that's what I think.
Okay.
Invincible Man, or yeah.
Right. So the concept is this guy can't die. Basically,
No.
he's immortal. Like you could shoot him, burn him, uh, make him fall from like like 1,000 foot drop, and he'll still live.
For sure.
Like the first thing he does, he gets blown up in a van after
Exactly.
after inhaling space gas.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Or
So
whatever. Yeah.
okay, so let's set up the premise. So basically, he's a cab driver from Houston, and reason why we say Houston is because he has an Astro jerseys. He's a fan of Nolan Ryan. Nolan Ryan.
Right. Yeah.
Uh,
Sure.
so that's kind of gives you the idea of where he is in the city, like where he is in the United States. He's a cab driver. He's a single parent, uh,
Mhm.
and he's just trying to find his way, kind of character.
Oh,
And
for
then
sure.
we get a headline in the paper that it's a stock footage of NASA finding this gas from another planet or that's just some sort of space gas.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
and then there's a car accident where the NASA van it's a
Yeah.
cute van that says NASA. I don't think NASA has vans that look like that,
Mm,
but just for the sake of argument, it's a van that says NASA on it. It's a little
yeah.
cute, and it basically does an A-team pop wheelie, like flies in the air, like literally does a 360 in the air, corkscrew 360, and
Yep.
crashes in a park where uh, um, Scott Bakula's character is at a football game with his son, and then he gets
Yeah,
exposed
exactly.
to a leaked gas.
Mhm.
And okay, so if you had to break it down, okay, so what do you think this gas is?
What do I think it is?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's fumes from the Hulk's gamma rays that kind of make them more um, uh, invincible or something. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of comical that way.
Yeah, no, it's completely nuts. But like when I was looking at, because his weakness is the darkness. We find that out,
Right, that's true.
so and then the sunlight's what his source of his power is. So to me, it was like it's like chlorophyll. It's like a plant. Basically, he's a human plant, right? Like winter comes down, it'll regenerate the limbs and it'll grow back, right?
Cool.
So that was like when I realized this is a space plant. Basically, he ingested space chlorophyll,
Mhm.
and basically he's a living meat
Yep.
vertebrate creature, but like basically he regenerates like a plant, and
Okay.
and if he's in the dark for too long, basically he wilters a little bit. He can't
True.
breathe, but he still lives again. So like basically he's indestructible. He can't really die, but you can put him in a box
Right.
and forget about him for however you want to.
For sure.
And, he's a hero who has no strength. Basically,
Yeah.
he's a punching bag. So it's
It's true.
it's a funny because he has no strength, he has no power, he has no skill set. He has
True.
zero skill set. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, and everything he does, he kind of bumbles around. And the son is like James Bond. The son comes into this organized supervillain is like lair and bypasses all the traps and cameras, and you
Right.
know, it's just it's kind of the extreme of comedy, but like it's subversion in.
Right.
Would you recommend this to anybody?
Um, maybe for a father-son, 8-year-old bonding type film. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's,
Sure.
you know, I would agree. I think that this is the kind of thing that you would show your son or a child
Yeah. Exactly.
because it caters to yeah, because it's a positive message. There's nothing offensive about this. This is really not. Well, I guess this is why this is Disney, right? Because it works so
Yeah.
well that
Yeah.
they have a formula that actually works for the family. You know.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I'd recommend it to a father and son on Father's Day or something.
No, you're absolutely right. I never even thought about that, but you're right. With the kid being like being the hero and it's a family film, it really works on that level that it's a very family friendly uh, movie.
Yeah. Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, and if, for those who didn't know, like this was also an idea for a pilot for a series
Yeah. I knew that. Yeah.
that that did not get picked up, and it would have been kind of curious to see how the first few episodes would have gone because uh, it is interesting how it goes.
Yeah. For sure.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was okay. Cool.
All right. Well, that ends it. We'll be back next week with a brand new show. Uh, so, and then at this point now, I'll have the website up and running. So down below, see it where you can check out our website.
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
And then, and the idea of with our website, basically, it's a one-stop shop. So if you want to check out the blog, if you want to email us, if you want to um, check out our Instagram account, Twitter account, an instant connection to a YouTube channel, or or our audio podcasts, or various platforms, whether you're on Spotify or Apple iTunes, you can get a connection to that right away.
Awesome. Way to go, man.
Yeah, so that'll be up and running. Actually, by the time you see this right away, so I'll have it up in the bottom of the screen, and then for our fans out there, you'll see everything. That's the Pantheon of M. You can catch us. I do
Okay.
want to mention one quick thing before we go is that to our fans, if you send us an email, this is important because come January 1st, we'll be reviewing Phase 3 film shortly. But
Right.
beginning our first on January 1st, we'll be reviewing the Age of Ultron. So we're asking you to send us an email, but about a paragraph, and give us your critique of Age of Ultron, and we'll read that out on our audio portion of the podcast, just to get some more feedback from you, our fans.
Awesome. Cool. Way to go, man.
All right, and so with that, so on behalf of myself and of course Evie, we'll say good night, and we'll see you next week.
Take care. Bye.